Hey Levi, decided to do a lesson today a little early, so maybe we can get it uploaded very soon. But today's lesson we'll be going over the second half, like I said, of Wildwood Flower. This is where a bunch of the awesome, cool chords come in that you can use. If you'll listen to the Tony Rice version, and I think Doc Watson does a version of it like that, they go over, they put a little bit of flair in their playing by using these extra chords. And really, this comes after, after the first part. Let's see. We do that twice. You do the first part twice, and then you do this second part, and it's kind of difficult, but we're not going to worry about you doing like the fancy picking or anything like that. We're just going to do, like I said, the basic version of this song, and then maybe next week we'll go over and try to spice it up a little bit. Okay, so we're just going to take it basic, step at a time, and the next week when you come in person, because next week will be the first week of June, you'll come in person and we can work on spicing it up and see where you're at from there. I think this is becoming a very good formula. Maybe once a month coming in person, and the rest of the time having video lessons like this. I think that's shaping up to be very, very interesting. So basically, we're going to start with that C, and the melody is, and all that is, I'm just hitting the first note. And this is, once again, Carter style is a lot of downstrokes. So it's, you need to do the one note of the C that you're holding, and I'm holding the chord shape. Notice that. In this case, I want to do that because I can either play the one note or I can strum into the one note. And it's just for a split second because you're going to go immediately to the E7 chord. And it's going to go up. So we're going to walk it down. So it's da, 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 da. But instead of just playing the notes, that would be the very easy version, okay? So let's just go over that much of it so far before we get into the E7 and all the other chords. Or you can just do, you can just do the one note, and then when you hit that E string, you can just for more effect, add that strum. That's very easy. I mean, you can ride that E string there for a minute. Once again, I'm holding the whole chord because everything sustains when you hit that strum. Notice we still have the strings ringing out where I'm holding them, and the pinky's the only thing that's moving. Now this is a good exercise to get your pinky strengthened a little bit, okay? Because your pinky will come into play here, especially on the second half of the song. Once again, I may hit one note, but I'm holding the chord down. That way, in case I hit one or two notes, that everything will sound like it's supposed to within the key of C. And that's the G. And then what we're going to do is go to this F. And what I like to do is I love this F because I don't really bar F as much as I used to, because I love the sound of just this note, having that C as the highest note instead of that F. There's the F right there, where the pinky is on the D string. But it also allows me not to have to worry about a bar, but also allows me to hit that open string, which gives us an F major 7 chord. Very jazzy, very pretty. But what we're going to do to get to that is, and this is very nice. We go immediately. This is the F, the F chord. But if we lift this finger, we've got a C suspended 4. very, very pretty chord. And that there's enough notes in there that it shares that if there's an F note there with our pinky. So it shares a lot of the notes that an F has. It's got the C here, the C here, the F here. And the G is, it leads us to that hammer-on the 2nd fret with our middle finger here. So you might want to just practice that. So we go from a C, and the way to practice this is going from a C, because we got to practice that movement, that small movement with our pinky, getting that down, this finger out of the way, and transitioning to the next string. Because it's on the D string here in the C shape. We put our pinky down, we don't need this anymore, so now we can use it and move it, use that G string there and move it there. And if you don't want that open string ringing out, that open E, you can just mute it with these 2 fingers down here. You know, that kind of acts as a nice little guide to let you know where you're at on the strings. That is actually very pretty if you let that E string ring out. So I think it's really pretty. You may not want that, that's fine. You can do the whole bar thing here, but it's a little tougher to get this finger independent when you do that. So I recommend just doing this, that way you can have this up here if you need to. You don't really have to put your finger back down here to get that squeeze. This right here is good enough. You can get a nice little grip there. And when you go back to the G, or the C, straight to the C, or you can hit that little open D and then hammer onto that. So we need the hammer-on to be loud. We need it, you know, I'm sure we've already covered hammer-ons and everything in this song, but remember, all the other strings are ringing out, so we don't want the hammer-on to kind of fade in, you know, kind of fade out and get washed away by the other notes ringing out. So we got to have a nice hammer there, so that it stands out. If I didn't do that, you wouldn't be able to hear it. It's kind of hard to do that because I want to play soft when I'm trying to hit soft. Your right hand tends to mimic what your left hand's doing and vice versa. So here's what we got so far. Just do a couple hammer-ons there. There's a little trill. And once again, there's not a lot of up down stuff, but there is a lot of strumming while you're playing rhythm. I mean, while you're playing melody. This is really, Carter family songs are really good for playing not just single notes, but keeping a rhythm going while you're playing these notes. And that's why a lot of it's downstrokes, because your downstroke is where the accents of the note happens. It's where you're going to get the most attack, it's the most force. So a lot of the downstrokes happen to be some of the melodies so that they will stand out beyond all the other strings ringing out, and that's what you want. Now that one, da-da, that's going to be up down on the D string. Again, I think we've already went over this, but the 1st fret pull off, that happens with the key of C, that happens from the D string, 1st fret, and then back to that C. And that's good to do when you're doing a G, or if you're doing this G. And what you're going to do is you're going to put this finger here and come back down. That way you'll be in the C position. But I just recommend learning this G as well. Not just this G, not just this G, learn this G as well. And this is basically rearranging your fingers to make this work. Pinky's on the bottom string, you got the ring finger on the top E string, 3rd fret on both of these, and then the middle finger's down here on the 2nd fret of the A string. It allows the B to ring out. It doesn't block it with this finger right here. It's more of a cowboyish, you know, traditional country style G, letting that B ring out like like that. So I think we've already went over that too. We got to practice that. So hammer on, 2nd fret, pull off 1st fret. Now it doesn't matter if we got the open strings ringing out here because we're already playing a G. So it's part of the chord anyway until we get back to the C, which we're going to, fret everything out that way. And then I think I went over the that little end lick on the last video. But there's another way to end that, and that is what I like to do is I get that from Tony Rice's Last Thing on My Mind. Very, very pretty song. It's on his Church Street Blues album, I think, and you can find it on YouTube. Just type in Tony Rice, The Last Thing on My Mind. Very beautiful song. He actually does a lesson on that on his Tony Rice Masterclass DVD. So it's a very pretty song. It's another good song to learn in the key of C. Learn as many tunes as you can in one key, and then that way when you need to play a song, you know all the options available to you. So that's really cool. So it's called Tony Rice, The Last Thing on My Mind. It's a really good song. Might be something we want to try next, actually. So just keep that in mind and remind me. I'll write this down so that I don't forget. I'll write that down as a potential lesson after Wildwood Flower. There's going to be a lot of similarities in it. Okay, so let's do this as much as we've got so far. Once again, I didn't really teach that, so let's go over that. It's going to be open G, and I'm keeping the C shape. Really, you can get away with that, the ring finger here. But you kind of want it to sustain. Once again, you want those notes to sustain. So we can go, while that's ringing out, open G, 2nd fret, middle finger, open B, you've got to lift that 1st finger. And then when you come back down on that B string, go ahead and come back down on the full chord shape. Or, actually, I would do that. I would prefer that. So it's down on the B, up on the G, and then down on that A string where that C note is. And then at the end, you're going to take and switch it around. This is going to come up to the E string. Your pinky's going to take that one's place. That way you can have G in the bass. The second part again. Or okay. And the other thing I forgot to mention when we went back to this after that is another suspended, so we got a C sus4 here before going to that F, and then we can kind of match that by doing a C sus like that. So we got, and that's a C sus2. We have that open D is the 2nd note in the scale, so that's the sus2. To do with the major scale and how the notes play out and everything in that. So that's the easy, basic way. Now the second way is going to be adding those extra chords like the E7. So we'll get on into that for the last half of this lesson, and then we'll call it a day. There's plenty of stuff to work with as it is. So this is a good thing. You have this all week to kind of look at. So that's really good. So when I did this, once again, like I said, we're going to walk it down. Okay, so to walk that down, we can do that note. We can either do that or we can match it with chords. And what happens here is we go. It's a very good chord for a key of C, and that's an E7. What I'm doing is the regular E here. Okay, I'm going to have to find a different thing than QuickTime because at the 15-minute mark or so, it always craps out. So anyway, here we got the E, regular E chord. And I'm sure you know that one. All you do to make an E7 is you're going to lift that ring finger. But to have this note here, that's going to be actually an E7 with this 7. So this is a 7. A D note is a 7th for an E7 chord. And here's the D note here. So we can match it. And it's not as hard as it looks. Basically all you do is you're going from a C. And what happens is this finger comes down, the pinky comes down, the ring finger lifts up because we don't need it. And you're going to keep this shape that you see here on these two fingers. You've got a string, skip a string, and then another string. Right now, it's on, for the C chord, it's on D, open G, and then B, first fret. All you have to do, leave this pinky down on that 3rd fret B string, take these two fingers and move them up one set of strings. And that's it. That's your E7. Okay, so, and then you've got this note added. And it's going by so fast, really all you have time to do is just strum it. So, and then once again we're walking down. That's our E7, A minor chord. And a lot of times what you hear is instead of one strum, and we'll probably get on this another time. I'll eventually come to this. But we'll be working on actual... I gotta move my little timer thing back here so I know what's going on. We'll be working on this eventually, and that is not strumming the full chord, but arpeggiating it. In other words, playing the chord as individual notes. It's a very good picking exercise, and that's what you're hearing a lot of times when you hear the Tony Rice version. Instead of a strum, it's one of those things. It kind of cascades into each other, the note does. So you can either do, for right now, just stick with a basic strum. And that's probably the tough part. And that's going to be a pull-off, and it's hard to do with an A minor. And those are all upstrokes. So that's an A minor. And that's another arpeggiated chord. Okay, so that's kind of difficult, but that's what he does. If you'll hear the tune, it's actually a pull off there. Instead of arpeggiating the note, you can just do a strum. And come up hard on that upstroke, on that B string, and pull off. Okay, so then it goes to that F. So we put two chords in the middle before we get to that F. So before it was like this. Then we go to the F. Well, now we've got... So there's the F there. So we can... It kind of rearranges the way we're going to play the chord because all this stuff is happening and we don't have a lot of time to make other hammer-ons and pull-offs. So, and that's a quick shift. We go here and we're going to automatically leave the first finger down and move these two. These are kind of stuck together. They're kind of like that way when you're playing A minor anyway. But if they're not, bring them together and put them back to that where this note is on, or this ring finger is on the A string 3rd fret, pinky's right below it on the D string 3rd fret, and that's one once again, that C sus, we're going to go to the F the same way on both versions of it. Or, so we're going to do that on both ones. And then the ending is going to be the same as you did on the basic version. Okay, so the end is the same. The difficult part is going from the C, and what I would do is instead of trying to do the actual notes, let's try to do the notes. I would just practice one strum at a time. C. That was terrible. That's what happens if you put on the G string instead of the B string. There you go. So go to C, E7, A minor. And really this is kind of, that's really kind of emphasizing the notes of a G chord. So you could technically add one more chord before you get to the F, and that would be the G chord. So you can elect to do that if you want to. Now this was just the top half of G. I didn't make the full G because I don't need that high note. So I just need to get to that B string because that's what the melody follows. Okay, so you can practice all that or leave the G out. I prefer to just leave the G out. That way I can just mess around with the notes on the A minor chord. So one strum C, E7. Once again, this is really easy. Just move these two up, lift that ring finger, and put this one down. And then A minor, and then the F. So definitely practice those combinations. C, E7, C, E7. Do that a couple times. And go from E7 to A minor, back to E7. Every E7 you don't have to use this with that pinky there. It just depends on what note you want to emphasize. On every song you can, not just this song but other songs is what I'm trying to say, and you can use that one if you want to on different songs. You don't have to always have the pinky down, but we want to emphasize this note, so we're going to use this version of an E7 and have the 7th be more prominent because it's a higher string. Therefore, it's a higher pitch and higher frequency. So that means it's going to stand out more than these all low bassy notes because they're going to kind of get muddy and ring together. And to make something stand out, that high note is something that we can use to make it stand out. Because you can't really hear that really doesn't, stand out because it's got bass notes all the way around it. But that does. You hear that more than you do that D. Okay, so just definitely practice that and definitely practice that in. Okay, and let's see. Basically, when I do this, that comes. When I hit this note, I switch to this. You can do it beforehand, but it kind of confuses me to do that. So basically, I just go. And it's hard to, you'll want to leave this first finger down. And to get this lick, you've got to raise it up. So it's kind of difficult there. And it's kind of weird because these are moving independently. Dun, 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 dun. Usually I just lift off the middle finger when I get there. Because that way it gives it time to come back to the C position. Then I switch to the bass. You can do it ahead of time. But to me it's hard because then this finger's kind of hovering in midair. I don't know where to go. So that's basically, I think, the lesson. Let me see what the time is on the previous video here. It's right at 15 minutes. We are at 9 minutes on this one. So 15 plus 9 is about 24 minutes. That's basically all that I need to cover on this because I don't want to, force feed you more than you can handle. Not every lesson is going to be right on the money 30 minutes. For one thing, it makes it it takes me time to cut and paste and edit all these videos and upload them and send them out. So it takes more time to do that than it does to actually record the video. So as a result of that, not every video is going to be right at 30 minutes. Might cut it short, because another thing is I don't want to, bombard you with all the information, and just get you discouraged on some things that you're wondering why you can't figure it out. But that's just the nature of things. If you've got more stuff to work with and you can watch it over and over again, then you don't need a full length, lesson. You can definitely come back and watch it as you need to, and it won't, discourage you and kind of make you say, well, there's no way I can do that. I'm trying to break it down as much as I can. And so this is basically, if you'll listen, and I encourage you to go on YouTube and listen, type in Tony Rice Wildwood Flower, and listen to his version, and you'll see that C7 coming out there. You'll hear it. Now, he may do it in the key of E or something like that, or E, and have a cape on number 2 and play in the C position. I'm not sure, but I know most of the time they play in C or they play in the C position, so you should not have any problem with that at all. Just listen for that chord change and kind of play along with it, and you'll hear it. You'll hear it coming in there. So that's the chords to use in Wildwood Flower. And so thanks so much for watching. We'll get on in-person lesson next week and kind of work on this stuff, and we'll kind of decide, probably see if we can spice it up, if there's anything we can do. Maybe even get into some of that kind of strumming, because that's very, very prominent. Church Street Blues from Tony Rice uses that a lot. It uses, it's kind of like a cross-picking thing, but not exactly. So we may even go into that next week. So I'll see you next Monday. If nothing happens, just let me know. It's going to be an in-person lesson. So I'll see you next Monday, regular time of 1:30. And I'll get off here and get this video spliced together and uploaded so you can watch it. Talk to you later. Have a good, blessed day, and enjoy playing some awesome bluegrass. Take it easy.